My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only, and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes, and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. That's impossible light activity traveling across this building. We see the shadow of the trees on, which is impossible light activity. Okay, these are demons and impossible light activity traveling across the buildings. This is, see the shadow of their cars? That's the pattern of conduct. That's P.O.C. That's impossible light. They're monitoring. This is impossible light activity. And they are stalking in the path. They're monitoring with the demon that has their flashers on. They are stalking in the path, monitoring together. This is what the Ontario Police Department engage in when they commit criminal summoning with the people of the state. This is the iteration of psychopathic pacing. The entities engaging in this, you have the police that are stalking a mile away, maintaining police lights, gang stalking via a traffic stop in the specific environment, while the fake sun and the fake moon remain over me, and the entity is monitoring on the roads and the highways, stalking, which is what the population in California is doing, stalking on the roads and the highways, while the entity is maintaining light activity. This is the pattern of conduct. This is at B Street and what is Euclid Avenue, and this is impossible light activity. This is impossible. This is not naturally occurring unless there's a spotlight, okay? That is light that is not going to create that trajectory of light toward me, though. Understand, my upright shadow. And I also have the shadows that are on the ground. Okay, this is my shadow on the opposite side. This is a shadow here, and a shadow that's upright, and another shadow that's over here. And while they're creating what is light activity dynamic across the walls of the building, that's impossible light. It's asinine. Okay, the entity has the light activity while they're crossing paths. These are demons engaged in psychopathic pacing. All right, driving through the impossible light activity that's flying in the air. It's the same thing with the engineered light when the fake sun is out. They're driving through engineered light that's in the air. They're monitoring everything and everywhere, everyone as well. And they're doing that in the specific environment. All right, this is the government that's monitoring everyone. Okay, so the government is a stalker. The government is stalking everyone. The government's not engaging in any investigation of everyone. The government doesn't have any warrant or probable cause to engage in searching and monitoring everyone. The government is demon-possessed while it is monitoring everyone. That is an entire demon-possessed agency, the Ontario Police Department, and you've witnessed that while they engage in psychopathic pacing via helicopter. Okay? They're engaging in the pattern of conduct while they are stalking. That's impossible light activity. Impossible light activity. The vehicle's not even right here when you're looking at that movement of light activity. They haven't even approached here. So meaning it's not even the product of driving through this, past this light right here, which this light is not the explanation for what you're looking at projected upright on the wall right here. I'm always documenting this. I'm documenting this under the fake sun. This is light activity. This is the ongoing unintelligent illusion where you are aware of the fact that they're monitoring. Okay? Their monitored airport is stalking. This is what they're doing at the 10 freeway. This is what they're doing over the OVITT Family Community Library. This is what they're doing over the City Hall. This is what they're doing over the housing community. This is what they're doing while I'm in Upland, California, where there's no Ontario International Airport. This is what they're doing over the neighborhood while I'm walking through to the Stater Brothers. This is what they're doing while they get in alignment to my path. You see that? Stalking. This is what gang stalking is, getting into the path. This is P.O.C. And this is the U.S. government that has admitted that it is engaged in stalking. It's stalking everyone, okay? The entity's engaged in monitoring everyone. Monitoring is conducted while you are being followed. You're being followed with light. You're being followed with audible noise. You're being followed by the entity itself that's maintaining presence all around you while the people of the state are living with you, around you. They're stalking because the government is monitoring in concert with them. And that's exactly how that the definition and the understanding of what they're actually doing and how the law operates. Okay, the government's not engaged in any lawful monitoring of someone where there is no warrant or probable cause. Warrants do not provide the government to monitor you. By the way, they give authority to investigate, to surveil you. And that's for a specific purpose. Crime committed, okay? That's not the case here. This is surveillance by the state. This is a demon going to their vehicle under the fake moon where they are monitoring where they live. This is the same street where Jay Montez is stalking. Jay Montez is a demon. He's going to prison. Okay, this is a demon that's standing under while the vehicles, the light activities, he's monitoring right in front of your face. This is called impunity under the law. All right. Doing so where the government is stalking by plane. They do the same thing while the helicopter's flying over. This is the government that's engaged in monitoring. It is massive surveillance. The government that's a stalker. The people of the state are the government. They're all stalking because that's how that operates. They have to be around you in order to monitor you. And they're doing it while this is the beast system. Okay. The beast system is here. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:31 a.m. They're monitoring together. This is a sex offender making sure that they touch while this one's idle in the vehicle. They're monitoring together. They're not strangers. The demons are acting in sync with one another. 9 PAL 806, that's a sex offender. And a co-conspirator of murder, P.O.C. And they all are. The government that's monitoring you is conspiring your murder. Seeking to keep you silent about the fact that they're monitoring you. And this system is how they murder people, kidnap them, and set them up, while maintaining the illusion through that same entity that you have privacy. You do not. All right, this is P.O.C. It's currently 5:32 a.m. Stalking, all right? I'm at Euclid Avenue. When they're stalking, this is B Street. So they're stalking, coming all the way down the street, along the street that I'm on. They're not flying over the town square over here. They're not flying over the 10 freeway. All right, they're certainly not coming from the airport. They come all the way down to Fern, following me as I'm walking, stalking. And so is the entire neighborhood. This is the prosecution of the city of Ontario. This is exactly, now you're understanding, it's the prosecution of the government, the prosecution of the fire department, the police department, the stalkers that are the American Medical Response, and the airport that is stalking. The government that is stalking is doing so with the people of the state. They're flying over your church. That church is a stalker. It's not Christ Jesus' church. It's not his true church. His church is not gang stalking. His church is not a facilitating venue for gang stalking. Okay? He's flying over your house, your apartment building. He's flying over the subdivision. The entities flying over the street where they live. They're all stalking, all of them. It is an indication of that. And as the entity is stalking, so is the environment. This is also how you know the neighborhood is stalking, because the fake moon is moving along the same street that I'm on when I'm on Euclid Avenue and B Street, and the fake moon moves as I move. So are the people of the state who are stalking. These are sex offenders whose goal is to molest you. That's a predatory, very demented mind state. These are demons, and they're stalkers who conspire your murder with the government stalking you in the psychotic ways that include plane and helicopter and being in ambulance vehicles. They're being prosecuted, and this is impunity. That has no business around children. That is going back to its country of origin. If it's an immigrant, that is a terrorist, a co-conspirator of murder, lurking in the middle of the night. And you don't need to know the stalker's name, but you do get that license plate. License 44676J3. That's that twin landscaping business. They're demons and they're gang stalking. And so is that business. You're going to prosecute. Those are persons under the law that are engaging in criminal activity with the government. P.O.C. Following me down the street. It's 5:38 a.m. All right, this is the same conduct, and this is Pepe's Towing that's headquartered adjacent to the Superior Grocer, where the fake sun is over me, and the Ontario police are gang stalking with Pepe's Towing, and they're flying in circles. Pepe's is a stalker, doing so, engaging in surveillance while the entity is engaged in psychopathic pacing, while the entity is in alignment to me to make a U-turn, stalking, and so are they, and so is Pepe's Towing, and so is the business I'm going to prosecute. This is little mom and pop, local demon-possessed company that's engaging in criminal activity with impunity. Okay? Pepe's and everyone working for that company is corrupt. And the entities engaging in this pattern of conduct along Holt Boulevard where the fake sun rises and sets. I'm going to prosecute this company. This is P.O.C. That company, under the law, is conspiring murder. And this is an unprecedented basis to prosecute businesses who are persons. They're treated as persons under the law. These persons are going to be prosecuted as domestic terrorists. These persons that are incorporated are going to be prosecuted as sex offenders. They're going to be prosecuted as co-conspirators of murder, acting with the government that is following the Village Shopping Center, moving to what is Holt Boulevard, while the fake sun over me. That's the identification of a stalker. Okay? They're also stalking while the government is monitoring, while they maintain light activity. Okay, while they maintain systematic means of a business such as Omnitrans, systematic monitoring. And you know that. I'm aboard Omnitrans, and so is the fake sun for the entirety of the route, no matter what time of day. They're stalkers. And so is Pepe's Towing. I'm going to go ahead and get this license plate. They're on the record gang stalking while I'm at the Superior Grocer. Pepe's is in relevant position along Holt Boulevard under the fake sun with the Ontario Police Department and the Ontario International Airport, just like they are now under the fake moon with the Ontario International Airport, engaging in equally criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. P.O.C. All right, this is relevant to signing on to the Wi-Fi. As I do that, the people of the state cross path, stalking on the sidewalk over here, playing music on their device. That's activity creation, and then the entity is flying over right here. The Stater Brothers is opening it, so these are demons that are also going to be going into the grocery store, stalking me. They go into the aisles, maintaining surveillance, just very creepy like this. They're demons, so while I'm looking at the Campbell's soup, the demon is on the opposite side of the aisle. On the opposite side of the aisles, in alignment, knowing where you're at, tracking your movements, while the engineered light fills the grocery store, just like this, fills the grocery store. They're all impossible light activity, a bunch of demons stalking in the grocery store, maintaining a position on the opposite side of the aisles, crossing path, monitoring you while I'm looking at Campbell's soup. They're crossing path, pacing, and the demons are outside pacing and plane and helicopter all around the grocery store monitoring. And they're doing that pertaining to my vagina as well. Okay, this is the entity that's monitoring on devices. That's why the entity is flying now over the parking lot, where again they're engaging in this conduct miles farther away. This is what they're doing in Upland, California. When I'm walking into Ontario, I'm not even in Ontario. They're stalking in Upland and they're stalking in Ontario over the Ontario Village Shopping Center. And this is the entity that's clearly stalking. That's not a takeoff. That's lurking with the people in concert. That's pacing. That's P.O.C. The people of the state are terrorists and they're being prosecuted, and there's no mystery here. The people inside of the Stater Brothers are stalkers, and I'm going to prosecute them. Systematic stalking, you know what that is? That's federal prison. This is P.O.C. All right, arriving to work while the government's crossing path, arriving at home while the government's crossing path, coming out of your home, sharing in the elements of monitoring while the government's stalking me by helicopter, you're going to prison. All right, this is not the operations of the airport. This is the government that's stalking. P.O.C. This is the Ontario Village Shopping Center monitoring as I log on to Wi-Fi. Stalking, cockroaches, maintaining light activity, monitoring. This is what Pepe's is here. Pepe's is here to monitor on the internet, co-conspiring murder. And there's no warrant or probable cause that exists for gang stalking. This is criminal conduct, an enterprise. This is the beast system. And this is how they operate. They are stalking you. This is what you need to know. They're stalking you everywhere at all times, including in the grocery store, including in the bathrooms. They're violent sex offenders, and they are ashamed of that. That's why the sex offenders engage in things such as what the OVITT Family Community Library did, and they're going to prison for that. Everyone already knows that they're vagina monitors. You watch those vagina monitors fail at even coming up with a lie as to why they were really expelling me from that venue where they're already prosecuted. Sean Thrasher's going to prison with a criminal record with an embarrassing sex offense as a terrorist. He's a vagina monitor. That's embarrassed and added on what is obstruction of justice charges. That's what he did. He's going to prison. He is going to federal prison while the Ontario Police Department are stalking me in Upland, California. He's going to federal prison while he's been gang stalking me with them at the OVITT Family Community Library. That's how this evidence is working. This is P.O.C. This is license plate. This is an employee. She works in the bakery. She's gang stalking. She's monitoring on her device. This is P.O.C. And any of them are immigrants. This is built into their prosecution. They're being deported. So they're going to be out in some ghetto in a foreign country trying to figure it out, but they're not staying in this country. This is P.O.C. The terrorists, who are the people of the state, repeating this over and over again. That's not doing cartwheels over the Ontario Town Square in alignment to me. not doing so over the B Street and Euclid Avenue intersection. They're doing so in concert with the people. Pepe is engaged in conspicuous surveillance. Euclid Avenue is where the entity is engaged in psychopathic pacing all around, monitoring together. They are driving and flying at the same time while they're monitoring what I'm doing on the internet. I'm uploading video 2026-0403 at 5:51 a.m., 2026-0403 at 5:45 a.m., 2026-0403 at 5:36 a.m., 2026-0403 at 5:25 a.m. These are the videos I'm uploading to YouTube, which the people of the state are keeping under surveillance. No warrant or probable cause exists for the government to monitor my devices, to do so while they are stalking me in the path. This is relevant to obstruction of justice. They are intending to psychologically torture, harass, and terrorize, and sexually violate because I'm being molested with impossible light, while they are engaging in terrorism, such as specific environment under the fake moon, corrupt business practices such as the Ontario Village Shopping Center and Stater Brothers, whose employees are with everything that I'm documenting inside, and they're maintaining the pattern of conduct on the inside of that, on the outside, and they're maintaining the pattern of conduct on the, okay? That's the P.O.C, and they're monitoring together as one. They're doing so while I'm uploading 7B50814, and that's why their housing information, their names, their identification, even their social security number, these are not private citizens, and accordingly, all of their information is being put on the internet as terrorists, because you need to know who they are, and that's exactly what the P.O.C provides. And everybody that engaged in obstruction of justice claiming this is private property, no, it's not. They're lying. This is the beast system, and they're going to prison for that. This is what the government tried to stop me from exposing to you so that they can get away with murdering me and stealing my money at that, and they got the nerve to be vagina monitors. They're going to prison. Understand that. That's what's happening, because the government is already engaged in what is unlawful. And on top of that, they committed more criminal acts to try to silence me while they stole from me, these thieving demons. And they are stalkers. Okay? Stater Brothers is not a grocery store. They're stalkers. Their customers aren't even really engaged in being patrons. They're I have the evidence of the fake moon and the fake sun over this grocery store. I'm going to prosecute David Quinones and everybody under his corrupt leadership of a facilitating venue that's engaged in surveillance under the guise, the malicious guise of a company name, where the U.S. government's maintaining surveillance of American citizens. P.O.C. Sexual assault and battery, license plate 7 Bob 20706 is what it looks like. At the Ontario Village Shopping Center. That's sexual assault and battery by Stater Brothers, by King's Tattoo, by everyone in the village, including the entirety of the shopping village itself, which is under a property owner as well. This is prosecuting the entire business that's sharing in criminal activity, while the airport is engaged in psychopathic pacing right over the parking lot. This is how you are identifying very clear targeting of me, the individual that is being targeted, while I'm at the 10 freeway in Upland, California. This is how the entire population is going to be, they're being prosecuted now. It's going to occur without any controversy within the walls of a tribunal. And this is the entity that's being federally prosecuted. And this is the prosecution, the exposure of the system, the beast system. This is P.O.C. It is 6:15 a.m. This is video documentation pertaining to the ongoing terrorism committed by the City of Ontario. This is the U.S. government acting via the state of California in the city, the jurisdiction of Ontario, California, maintaining the criminal pattern of conduct. The Ontario Police Department, which is the City of Ontario, this is the same one that's acting as kidnapper, as acting as the one that's criminally defaming me, having authority under the law whatsoever, which they don't, the fictitious exercise of authority while they're simultaneously stalking and terrorizing. This department is clearly stalking me by helicopter under the fake sun on Euclid Avenue as I'm walking from Upland, California to Ontario, California. They commenced to flying in circles around me at intersection Harvard and Euclid Avenue. They are then stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library, and I want to document that into the evening, the entity engaging in terrorism, hovering by helicopter, engaging what is extraordinarily loud, amplified, audible activity, doing so as a war zone is maintained at the OVITT Family Community Library. Mickey and Dylan of Securitas. You have the employees that are engaging in the pattern of conduct while they are, again, these are hostile demons that are watching me prosecute them in Upland, California, watching me prosecute them outside of the OVITT Family Community Library. These are the tactics of terrorists, and I'm noting it because they are going to prison. I took a picture of Abigail gang stalking. She's with her communication device. She's crossing paths. She is stalking, doing so with the entity that was maintaining ongoing warlike conduct with helicopters, extraordinarily loud. The entity is already stalking with loud activity by helicopter. What the entity is doing while I was sitting in between capturing Southwest Airlines, the airport stalking over the Senior Center, and the 280 North Lemon Apartments, the John Stewart Senior Citizen Apartment Complex, that sky space right there. The planes were flying over there, and the entity was also stalking by helicopter, which I captured both in images and in video. At that same sky space, the entity flying directly over the sky space, over me, in the direction which would have been north. Yeah, flying north over that sky space and doing so with tremendous amplification. This is a threat by the demons of the Ontario Police Department. This is what the entity is doing. This is hostility. And I'm going to prosecute because of the threat that the entity is posing. The entity continuously engaged in stalking last night at the OVITT Family Community Library, by the way, by helicopter. I'm capturing this on a nightly basis. So this is nothing that's new. This is what the entity committed last night while I am essentially ignoring them, but I'm documenting it in this podcast because they're going to prison. They're going to be literally physically in court, and they're going to be accountable for this that they're doing on an ongoing basis in the helicopters, like they're never coming down onto the ground, like they're never going to be in court, like that agency is not going to be raided, like they're not going to be held accountable, and they actually are, individually and collectively as an agency. This is a terrorist agency, and the people of the state are terrorists stalking with that agency. They are going to prison because what they do together is called criminal summoning. They are going to federal prison for everything that I'm documenting, the details that I'm including, because then they are engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct together. Those terrorists are going to prison, okay? So this is the entity last night engaging in what is ongoing stalking, flying in circles multiple times last night while I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library, where I show the fake sun is over me at the end of that library, not at the entrance. The same location where the fake sun is, as a matter of history, over me at the entrance, remaining until the end of the day when the library closes, if at 6 p.m. or at 4 p.m. on Sundays, and then until sunset. And then I capture the entity engaging in what is ambushing me upon my entrance and exit of that same OVITT Family Community Library. The entity is stalking me while I am maintaining this evidence to prosecute them. These are terrorists that are acting in furtherance of a delusion. They're engaging in the ongoing maintenance of surveillance and furtherance of murder. It's just that they're not accomplishing any murder. I'm going to be alive and well testifying against this agency, testifying against Mike LORENZ, testifying against every kidnapper, testifying against the terrorists who are the people of the state who are engaging in a pattern of conduct while they admit to receiving a citation, and the entity admits to providing a citation for whatever the ongoing code is under the California vehicle code, where they are using that as a guise for a criminal surveillance. They're doing so under the fake sun and the fake moon while I'm documenting the P.O.C, and they will be admitting to engaging in that while they provide the evidence of what they were doing with regard to criminal summoning. They're going to prison, every single iteration of it. License 8 STC 715, they're engaging in the pattern of conduct while they are monitoring the evidence, which is very foolish because it's all being submitted in the tribunal. There is no controversy. There will be no search for the truth in the court. It's already exposed. The federal government is literally watching the truth of what I've already proven underway being executed, and then they're going to be ushered into a courtroom for convictions. That's literally because I've done the work already. It's already convicted. They're already convicted. And that's also relevant to a threat. These are demons who are suicidal, and they are willing to commit homicide. They're willing to engage in what is psychological torture, tormenting and stalking and engaging in what is horrifying someone because they have been caught. These are the demon possessed that commit murder. That's what lets you know about the threat that the Ontario Police Department poses. The city of Ontario poses. Terrorists that are stalking in commercial planes and calling themselves reputable companies such as Delta Airlines, United Airlines, American Airlines, Amazon Prime Air, multi-billion-dollar companies. They're terrorists. I'm going to prosecute them. It is complete. This is P.O.C. This is noting what the Ontario Police Department committed all last night being April 2nd, 2026. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. All right, and this is clear P.O.C. This is what UPS is doing over B Street, B as in boy, yesterday afternoon, which, by the way, is giving you context regarding what they're driving in. It's called engineer lights, not sunlight. The B Street and Euclid, this is not the same. This is the same location. B Street is this is Holt Boulevard. B Street is, which would be that would be north of Holt Boulevard. The fake sun is still over me where UPS is gang stalking as I'm walking from where I came from this morning, and the airport is stalking, hovering over in this manner, doing cartwheels. Cartwheels, they fly in alignment to where my person is and make that U-turn. where they're stalking under a fake sun. The fake sun that's also here at the village after 4 p.m. Creating light activity. This is the surveillance system. And I have captured this time and time again, okay? 9 David Xavier Henry 811, co-conspirator of murder. This is a domestic terrorist. This is the beast system. And these are demons that are subservient to the government, which is a cult. This is satanic. Satanic means of surveillance, which the government uses to defame American citizens that they seek to entrap, threaten, murder, kidnap, and steal from, like the entity this government, this beast system did to me, through the people of the state who are also stalking you, conspiring your murder, and seeking to profit from it. Paid gang stalkers, okay? The entity's doing this under the fake sun, and the evidence shows every single time I come here to use the Wi-Fi. You're looking at the entity that's capable of provision of evidence is doing so to the demise of the entire entity. That is the beast system where the government is in fact stalking, okay? There is no natural environment under any circumstances where 4 hours from now, it's 6:56, 7, 8, 9, 10:30. That would be 7, 8, 9, 3.5 hours from now, the fake sun is still here. In fact, it's right over the top of my head here. And the Ontario police are flying in circles over me, just like they were at Harvard and Euclid Avenue yesterday afternoon at around during the 3 p.m. hour, okay? Where the entity is maintaining the fake sun and doing so while they are monitoring the evidence, which is harmful for trying to establish in court that you're not demons, that you're not engaging in surveillance, that you're not conspiring murder, that you did not steal money from the person that has proof that you're stalking them, that you are not engaged in exceedingly violent and inhumane sexual violence. The entity is providing the direct evidence of that while they are engaging in ongoing stalking while the evidence is underway. This is the entity that's engaging in this size of evidence at this location because I am using the Wi-Fi here. So the evidence is showing a massive amount of evidence of the entity stalking by plane right here, which is targeting in the first place. But I've captured this over and over and over again. Okay, so that's what I want you to be mindful of. It's already prosecuted. You are looking at the demons who are maniacal. They are going to prison and they're being committed. This is the exposure to you who are watching. The beast system has been in operation. It can no longer secretly exist. And you cannot be subject to it without everyone else knowing. The entity is engaging in this criminal system, and it is doing so with the people of the state who are not those that are protected by the Constitution. They are not private citizens. It is the government, and the government has exploited the Constitution, state and federal, to engage in what is, by definition under federal law, terrorism. And this is the inherent corruption of not just the executive branch, but this is speaking to the other two branches where the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct. What is it that I'm documenting at not just the police stations, but at the courthouses? The Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, the San Bernardino Superior Court, the California Supreme Court, okay, the appellate level, the 4th District Court that engaged in what is facilitating this ongoing kidnapping and obstruction of justice. They are a part of the same beast system, and I documented the court system's engagement in this pattern of conduct, where they are denying, having no precedent to support that denial of what is a fundamental right, access to the court, service of process, while the entity is actively engaging in what is seeking to murder me by gang stalking. Gang stalking is the evidence that the government is trying to kill you. The government is just capable of engaging in that, and typically does in secret. And you don't know anything about a beast system. People are falsely depicting the character of American citizens who claim that this is happening to them, and they don't have the sophisticated, organized evidence of the P.O.C. Okay, that's called malice. That is malice. The entities provided this evidence, and I've captured it time and time and time again. This is the government. I just want to be clear. Like I said, the Ontario police are demons. They are demon-possessed people. They are not law enforcement officers by definition. They are not. They have no authority under the law by definition. The application of law, they do not. And they're being prosecuted for that. They're engaging in this conduct, and it's a wealth of evidence. The fake sun is still over me in the same manner when I'm walking to the laundromat, and the people of the state are demons walking in the same engineered light that's over this same location as I'm going to the Superior Grocer. And what are they doing over that parking lot that's west of this location? They're stalking over the parking lot with the police. Where Pepe's Towing is gang stalking as well, their venue. I'm going to prosecute them. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and it's a wealth of evidence that you already know what is going on. It's already proven. All right, demons that openly engage in terrorism and conspiring your murder, they're going to prison. 58005 Xavier 1. And this is a body of evidence that is going to put hundreds of people away. That's what's going to happen with regard to the introduction of the beast system. Just so that you know. And a lot of people that engaged in the practice of witchcraft,
trying to use voodoo to murder me while you're gang stalking and furtherance of murdering me while psychologically torturing. They're trying to attack at one time. All of that's going back to the entity that sent it out. They are going to be committed. They are going to lose their mind. You're witnessing them losing their mind while they are no longer elite. They were never elite. They were never magical. They're demons. They cannot contend with the Lord God himself. There is no power that can contend with the Holy Spirit. They are so psychotic. They're delusional. So delusional, they have presented the evidence against themselves to you, the whole world. Everyone in the world knows that the United States of America is engaged in the beast system now. That's how elite they are. This is the P.O.C. The big picture, take a step back, because I've captured this same ongoing obvious engagement in criminal time and time and time again. They do the same thing every time I come to the Ontario Center. Every time I come here. The plane after plane after plane, there's no airport over here. And they're doing the same thing as I go anywhere, including while I'm in Upland, California, and the entity's flying over while I'm at the 10 freeway. Where, by the way, the evidence shows that the fake sun is rising over the people of the state. The freeway is a picture of the inhumanity of the stalking that the government has engaged in. Everybody on that freeway, in other words, as you look at numerosity, violating your constitutional human rights, all those people are sharing and monitoring you, stalking you. While they maintain presence, there's nowhere that you can go that the entity is not surrounding you. They're stalking you, and that's incredibly threatening. As you analyze that under the law, you're going to prosecute them. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:02 a.m. All right, it is currently April 3rd, 2026. It's currently 8:41 a.m. I am inside of the Stater Brothers, and everything you just listened to was relevant to what is poisoning in furtherance of murder with the intent to obstruct justice, while the entity is keeping the evidence against it under surveillance and physically harming me, while I am, again, the people of the state are the ones, which is the government, that is providing all food that you consume. The entity is, and that's even if you maintain a farm, your source of resources, the water, your access to resources, it's coming through the same entity that is engaged in surveillance. And much like Stater Brothers, that is gang stalking, that has engaged in what is selling me products that are poisoned, and my documenting harm after consuming those products, that they are targeting by as I purchase them, and they are also targeting me in the area of the store where I typically go to buy those items. This is already proven. The fake sun is over me. While they're maintaining it in Upland, California, over the library. This is the absurdity, that absurdity is directly getting to the probative value. It is unmistakable, beyond a reasonable doubt, clear evidence, and it is to a scientific degree that the entity is engaged in surveillance. Okay, and this is relevant to what is supernatural. These are demons, and this is the beast system. The government is not only keeping you under surveillance, the government is monitoring you. It's more than just technology. This is also relevant to what are trying to murder people and actually murdering people and kidnapping them, lying on them, what the government has done, which is stolen from me, and the government's engaged in poisoning me. The entity is acting through the state-organized religions. Hi, Lupe, how's it going? And gang stalking in the grocery stores while having a bad, poor attitude while engaging in conspiring my murder. Hi, how's it going? You okay? Okay. Well, the entity's I'm sorry? The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct of poisoning the food of the products that you purchase. They're engaging in that while they are monitoring the evidence. So the entity is engaged in what is pacing. This is Lupe, who has a very poor attitude. And while she's monitoring me, she's engaging in what is harassment. This is the entity that's engaged in that level of, excuse me. Let me go ahead and get out of you guys as well. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while they are maintaining that that level of intrusion in the ongoing case. And this is the entity that lacks self-control. This is the ongoing emotional breakdown that third parties like Lupe are having. She's pacing, and this is a demon. And it doesn't help her that the Ontario International Airport is flying over this grocery store, flying over me in the parking lot, and then I'm in the store, and Lupe is a vagina monitoring psychopath who is upset because she is being proven as a terrorist and a sex offender. Again, that's the mental illness that American citizens have a right to not be subject to. While you're poisoning me, you're stalking me, you're engaging in what is coming for me, and you're supposed to be getting away with it, and that's why you're upset. That's a population with that
issue, by the way. This is what is poisoning food. So I've been subject to poisoning by Stater Brothers. I've been subject to poisoning by 7-Eleven, specifically in Upland, California, 204 North Euclid Avenue. They are simultaneously engaging in the pattern of conduct. They're doing so on behalf of the government. That is gang stalking. And up in California, the entity is an outright removal of the sun. There's only one sun, but there's no sun up in California over the 7-Eleven while I'm walking north of Euclid Avenue today. I'm documenting it while I'm in Ontario at the Stater Brothers, where Lupe is in the store getting what is hostile, pacing, threatening me, telling me she go talk to your manager because her and her manager are gang stalking. Say anything. It's audible activity. They're monitoring. So this is an entity that is engaging in that. And then you have the government, the absurdity of that conduct. And then you're stating anything. You're all going to prison. You're all going to federal prison. So, but this is how those facts work together. But nonetheless, this is what you're subject to. But I just want to speak to, that's the way you're going to prosecute that. No problem. Thank you. How's it going, Thomas? The entities engaging in poisoning. So these churches, like I said, this is state organized religion, meaning they do not exist without the consent of the state. They are subservient to the state's pattern of conduct. This is why you have, by the way, the same messages when you have the entity that's different venues, different quote-unquote pastors, different church leaders, but even as I attend them and they're gang stalking me, they're going over the identical verses and delivering the same religious message while they are also engaging in the same pattern of conduct. But this is just another observation as I go from venue to venue and they're gang stalking me on Sunday mornings and calling it church service. But nonetheless, the entity is engaging what is poisoning. So I have been subject to the pattern of conduct and poisoning me for a prolonged period of time. I've documented grocery outlet. I've documented Stater Brothers. I've documented 7-Eleven. And I just want to be clear, poisoning your food is an unlawful act of battery, and it is the entity putting anything from laxative to arsenic. And it's not your responsibility to try to figure out what was put in your food. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they engage in anything like that, they're going to prison. So this is the entity that can't control her attitude, and she's getting everybody locked up, everyone. The Stater Brothers, the establishment, engaged in poisoning my food. Remember the peanut butter incident? This is where I purchased it. This is where I was routinely purchasing it, and I've never had problems. I'm not some hypersensitive person. You all know that. I was not exaggerating about stalking by helicopters, and I'm not exaggerating about what is the control of my vessel, which I maintain. And as I'm consuming products that I purchased from a facilitating venue that is engaged in criminal monitoring and furtherance of murder, my food is being tampered with. And I keep track of where I'm purchasing it from. In fact, my diet has been so restricted that I have not eaten anything yesterday or the day before yesterday. It is limited to what is not Stater Brothers. I'm purchasing from Stater Brothers today. It is limited to 7-Eleven at 204 North Euclid Avenue, using their ice machine and their fountain machine to get specifically vitamin water, which they did not charge for. And also consuming food from the Rock Church, where I'm subject to the pattern of conduct, heavily documented the Ontario International Airport under the fake sun rising, capturing the fake sun in the middle of the afternoon, capturing the fake sun in the evening, where the city of Ontario is maintaining surveillance by helicopter in the middle of the night. This same location, flying in circles over the top of my head. This area, including this venue where I'm subject to this P.O.C, is also where I am consuming food. So I am documenting the entity. These are the two places where I consumed food yesterday, and I am experiencing digestive issues that are uncharacteristic of what my perfectly, healthy vessel is not experiencing so it's not like I ate bad yogurt, and I had a stomach, issue or something like that. I didn't eat anything. In fact, I had a cup of ice and some vitamin water from 7-Eleven, and then I went to the Rock of Faith. All right, Christians claiming to be engaged in serving the homeless and providing them with food for the love of Christ, being the hands and feet. And I just want to document what it is that I'm experiencing the next morning, which is a documented pattern of harm that I'm suffering while this entity is keeping me under surveillance. And there's no mystery here, and my body is telling on the entity. It's no mystery. I do not do drugs. I don't do alcohol. I don't do any of those things, and that's also relevant to the federal government that's been targeting me. They also know that. Okay, so this is how their criminal activity in targeting me is serving to prosecute this entity.
All right. And what is also in my body is going to be used to prosecute the entity. So it's going to come out and you're going to prison. I just want to let you know that. This is why I document these details. The entity is engaging in this. This is very also sexually perverted. They do that while then you go into the bathroom and they're keeping you under surveillance regarding any complications that they're sick. This is Satan. And typically this is what they find to be entertaining. These are demons. They find this to be entertaining while they poison you. Okay, they find it to be also entertaining while they poison you with something that's going to take your life. You don't wake up in the morning. Okay, you're sweating, and then they call the ambulance, the same ones that poisoned you. They call the ambulance. The ambulance are gang stalking. Pay attention to the P.O.C, how the government's engaging in executing people. They're calling the gang stalking EMTs. Okay, and they take you to the hospital where you're being targeted. All right, and then they're engaging, oh, well, you suffered some foreign, or whatever explanation that they give. Sometimes they know something's in your body, sometimes they don't. They'll just say they had inexplicable heart failure, okay, had a heart attack, or consumed some foreign substance in their body or whatever it is. But that's the work of an entity, including the one that you live with that is putting substances in your food, calling the ambulance who take you to the hospital where they're providing what are services to ostensibly save your life. And it's an act of that entire entity that is taking your life together. Understand the malice of the government. And this is how this beast system operates. So this is P.O.C, and I have documented all angles of that pattern of conduct. The gang stalking government and the ambulances, they're going to the gang stalking hospitals. They do so while they are sounding sirens, engaged in monitoring, and you as a target individual that's been poisoned are in the back of that ambulance being monitored while they're simultaneously taking your life. This is, again, that size of a threat, that's entirely unlawful. And whatever you're putting in my food, you're going to prison for it. Okay, so you better pray to whoever you pray to that I don't have any digestive issues, because you're going to prison for it. All right, I didn't eat anything. And I went to facilitating venues to consume food. And it's on your head, you're going to prison, as clearly as you're hearing me say this. There is no controversy that you're engaged in the pattern of conduct of furtherance of murder, as I document where I'm going and I'm eating food and I'm documenting any hardships that are a threat to my life. While you're psychologically torturing me and you're stalking and you're monitoring and you're harassing, you're going to prison. So I want to make sure that I document that. This is the entity. It's just those two venues, Rock of Faith and also 7-Eleven at 204 North Euclid Avenue. I documented the license plates of those employees. I document the ongoing pattern of conduct, and I have as a matter of history. And they're engaging in what is providing food. I have already consumed food from 7-Eleven, particularly their burritos. And where they are engaged in tampering with my food, and I'm experiencing that. And so they're routinely gang stalking, very foolish because they're going to prison, but I want to document that. It's currently 8:52 a.m. And so this is just to document what I am capturing. Today it's April 3rd. So, you process the food, your body processes the food, and it was subtle enough to where I didn't have an immediate reaction. Good morning, Erica. To where I didn't have an immediate reaction, but I am experiencing digestive issues the next day. So that is speaking to a level of subtlety. They've engaged in providing much more where I can immediately sense that something is wrong with my food. But it is currently, 8:52 a.m. This is P.O.C. And this is the entity that is poisoning my food. Stalking with Lupe, who's harassing me inside of the grocery store. Monitoring my evidence. Lupe, that is co-conspirator in my murder with the city of Ontario. And Pepe's Towing is gang stalking under the fake sun on the same block. In the middle of the afternoon, they are adjacent to the Superior Grocer where the fake sun's over me at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Currently 8:58 a.m. This is the entity that is indeed poisoning, okay? Poisoning my food as I consume it. Be clear, this is the demon that smells of urine that's engaged in gang stalking. He's stalking in the path. The OVITT Family Community Library engaged in what is raising his voice with his gang stalking mother, his gang stalking minor siblings. That is stalking. He's a Latino male, very heavily documented gang stalking with his brother and sister and his mom, Rosie, okay, who are gang stalkers that are living in Benjamin's white van with the out-of-state plates, okay? This is the entity that's engaged in that. That's a level of obsession. He's mentally ill. He smells of urine, and he's been engaged in harassing me, particularly at OVITT Family Community Library. This is the entity that is stalking, okay? At 10 o'clock in the morning, the entity has the fake sun still here, and the Ontario police are stalking by flying in a circle over me. In the middle of the afternoon, when I'm coming from Upland, California, the entity is maintaining the fake sun over me on Euclid Avenue in the same, coming back to this location. At 12 o'clock in the afternoon, when I'm walking on Holt Boulevard, the entity is gang stalking me by the demons on the roads and the highways, that same department, stalking on video at 12 en route to the Superior Grocery where Pepe is towing. Is they're facilitating videos on the Euclid Avenue, Holt Boulevard, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon where the Ontario police are stalking by helicopter, flying in circles over my head again, which is basically on the opposite side of what is San Antonio right here. This is the entity that's flying over while I'm referring to the entity that is indeed poisoning your food. They're the ones that are the people of the state. They're poisoning with the entity that is stalking it, and the government is providing evidence against them that are poisoning you. They're going to prison. Okay, this is the hands and feet of the government. And in the same way, the demon-possessed are the hands and feet of Satan, who was a spirit. All right, this is the entity that's engaging, and this is the beast system, very highly unintelligent. Mike LORENZ is going to prison for the pattern of conduct. The people of the state that are poisoning me in furtherance of my murder, with that agency that is stalking in these terrorizing ways, such as with helicopters and with airplanes, he's going to prison for this. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 9 a.m. and there is no sun over the Upland Public Library. This is where I'm at the entrance in between the Upland City Hall, the Upland Public Library, and this light source is over me there. This is speaking to the pattern of conduct that's shared by the City of Upland and the City of Ontario, which is again putting terrorists just like Mike LORENZ in federal prison. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 9 a.m. on the dot. That's the entity that is stalking by helicopter and doing so with Lupe. Lupe that's harassing inside of the grocery store while she's a psychopath. All right, the mentally ill are very much engaged in stalking, and they are psychopaths who are accustomed to getting away with murder. So their hostility and aggression is because they're not getting away with it. You're going to be committed with that same evidence, the same evidence. Okay, you're harassing me because you can't get away with stalking and murdering me. P.O.C. Alrighty, the entity that is engaged in criminal monitoring with the Ontario Police Department, which is getting to that conspiracy to murder, to kidnap, committed as an entity in concert with that city, with that agency. That's the people of the state. The people of the state are maintaining state-organized religion, meaning this is no genuine faith, even as false beliefs such as praying to trees, okay? This is, they're not actually even praying to God. They maintain these ways of brainwashing the people of the state who themselves actually, many of them, there are those that are outright demons. They know that they're not actual Christians. These are the wolves. And then there are those that are brainwashed, because those that are demons and they have no intention of even being Christians. They're not acting like a Christian and they're not really saved and they're actually demons cloaking themselves. There are those that intentionally, knowingly, maliciously, deliberately do that. There are those that actually believe that they're saved and they believe that they're Christians while they are witnessing the evidence showing the direct opposite, meaning you're gang stalking me. You're demon possessed while you're gang stalking. You're a criminal while you're engaging in gang stalking as a demon-possessed person. You are hostile and you continuously engage in that, including in the building of a church, where you are then feigning that you're practicing some faith whereby you are forgiven for that which you are willfully, continuously, and deliberately engaging in. Okay, they're not ignorantly engaging in that. And that's just with regard to those that are deceived into thinking that they're saved, and no, you're not. And you're not able to go around deluding yourself anymore. Not only that, the entity is engaging in this while they are doing so with the police. So while you're praying to Mary in the Catholic Church, and while you are praying to Jesus in the Christian church, and the entity is amplifying helicopter activity targeting me inside of that building, they are engaging in the pattern of conduct. Those are demons that are not actually believers. Okay, and they are all targeting with that agency in furtherance of murder while you're praying to Mary, while you're praying to Jesus, and none of them are saved. Those are equally demonic false religions. You need to understand that. Equally demonic. Just because they are saying Jesus doesn't mean that they're less demonic than praying to some other man or a dead person like Mary. Okay, this is an entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct under the guise of false religion. It is state organized religion. They are subservient to the same government system. In fact, the government uses that. They get perks. They benefit from it. This is why you have these churches, which are businesses where this beast system is underway. They are incentivized to engage in this and deceiving people, deceiving them away from the truth of who Christ is and actually serving him, believing that they're saved while they engage in this. There is no path to heaven for those that are engaging in this. It's not happening. And they're deceived. And there are those that are amongst them who are deceived, and they know exactly what they're doing and the purpose of it. And there are those that are within that, amongst all the goats, and they are engaging in what is to their own demise. You don't know Jesus, you don't know Christ, and you've been given evidence of that, and you're still continuing in that. The entity's engaging in what is gang stalking in the church. It doesn't get any more clearer than that to you and also to the rest of the world. Moreover, you're being prosecuted. This is judgment. The entity's engaging in this very same pattern of conduct amongst those that are receiving perks, okay? Fake pastors like Ted Burnett, okay, with the Ontario, the Princeton Free Will Baptist Church, where what you hear, the helicopter activity, that's exactly what I'm subject to, terrorism. While I'm inside of that fake church in off of Princeton and Berlin. And the fake sun is over me. I'm documenting that on March 25th, 2026. The fake sun remaining over me the entire route as I leave the OVITT Family Community Library, where this fake sun is not over it today. On March 25th, I stayed at the library. I did not leave until after 11 a.m. The fake sun remains over me as I'm walking north on Euclid Avenue, and I go to that fake church where I am poisoned. Okay, I'm poisoned by Ted Burnett. Ted Burnett is not a pastor. He's not even a believer in Christ. Okay, but these demons, these are terrorists, these are vagina monitors, these are predators, these are wicked people. And that's federal prison. I just want to be clear. After I'm consuming food from this fake pastor who maintains a chamber of food, the Ontario Police Department are engaged in what is stalking me while I'm inside of that fake church. And this is a psychopath. Ted Burnett is a psychopath. He's talking to me, talking about saying the name of Jesus, talking about how wonderful the church service is, all the good things that he does in the neighborhood, and how he's going to be organizing for the No Kings, etc., while the Ontario Police Department are flying over repeatedly while I'm inside of that church building, targeting me. And so is Ted Burnett. He's also targeting me while I'm subject to poisoning from the free food that he so graciously gave to me on March 25th, 2026. In fact, after I consumed the food, he specifically gave me from the freezer as a tamale, a beef flavored tamale. And after I consumed that tamale, I leave. I walk to the March 25th was last Wednesday. Excuse me, the Wednesday before last, when I walked to where I'm located now. Okay, where I'm located now. I walk past the Ontario Village Shopping Center where the fake sun's over me during the 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and I go to Superior Grocer at 815 West Holt Boulevard where the fake sun is still over me. That's what Pepe's Towing is engaging in. That's what Stater Brothers Lupe, that can't control her psychotic emotions. She's going to be treated for that. You're a gang stalker. You need to lock it up. You shouldn't even be engaging in this, so I suggest you be silent, because everything you say is being used against you. I'm prosecuting you. I'm prosecuting the government. The entity's engaged in this while the fake sun is over me hours from now. It's 9:16 a.m. So 3 and 4 hours from now. Don't forget, I leave that laundromat and I walk back toward the library. That's at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Fake sun is still over me. This is the entity that is stalking by the Ontario Police Department. And I'm poisoned by another fake pastor. Okay, the entity's engaging in what is, just like you hear the helicopter activity everywhere else I'm going, it's not different at these state organized means of what is religion to control the masses. The demons that are gang stalking are the ones that are under the control of the state. They are subservient to this system. And you are not a Christian and you are not saved. You do not know Christ Jesus when you are a demon that's moreover engaged in criminal activity. It is mutually exclusive. And it does not matter how you feel about it, nor does it matter how you twist scripture and try to make sense of that which is wicked. Period. It's not only sin, it's criminal. So the entity is engaging in this conduct, and I am subject to the same terrorism inside of what is Free Will Baptist Church. And after I consumed food that was given to me by Ted Burnett on March 25th, 2026, where the Ontario Police Department are stalking me inside of that church, where he is engaged in criminal monitoring under the guise of maintaining a church that is not separate from the state. The entity is engaging in what is poisoning me via Ted, and I leave and I feel like I'm drugged. I feel drowsy. My body feels heavy. I go to the laundromat at the Spin Cycle laundromat where Hernandez is gang stalking on video, engaging in criminal summoning, where the demons are pacing in that parking lot, including the Ontario International Airport, including the Ontario Police Department by helicopter. This is what I've documented at that same parking lot. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while on March 25th, after getting food, I'm documenting another actor that's engaged in poisoning me, and you're going to prison for this. March 25th is when I'm subject to that poisoning, and I'm subject to it and under circumstances where I should be protected. Not only spiritually protected, but I should be protected from what this so-called sinful world is engaging in. Okay, someone moreover that is cloaking themselves as a pastor. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in poisoning my food, drugging my food. Now that was no laxative, that was a drug. I was drugged, and then in the heat, while the entity is engaging in what is ongoing battery, this documentation of the fake sun, this is inhumanity. This is inhumanity in operation. Like, this is inhumane treatment while the entity hovers a fake sun. I'm going to prosecute for this. It's actionable. While they're all stalking and the entity keeps a fake sun hovering over me, the entity is doing that while I'm drugged and I am feeling drowsy. My body's feeling heavy, and I'm feeling overwhelmingly sleepy and tired. This is what I'm experiencing inside of the laundromat while I'm getting my clothes washed. And the entity's engaging in what is gang stalking at that venue as well, which is what I documented. So I just want to make sure that this is clear. While you hear the entity stalking me by helicopter right now at the Stater Brothers under the fake sun, this is the exact same crime scene at the venues that are referring to themselves as churches, and they are not. And by the way, it's also relevant that they receive perks as churches that are engaging in this criminal surveillance system. This is the beast system. This is not Christ's church. It's the state's church. That's why it doesn't matter what denomination, which is another means of a false religion. Those denominations are not in Scripture. That they're not in the Bible. Okay, so they're engaging in what are creating their own sects of religion, and while they do so, they are engaging in the pattern of conduct. That's why the fake sun is over me, where I go to congregate amongst demons that are monitoring me. This is what Sunrise Church was engaging in for years. Vagina monitors that like to scream and sing out the name of Jesus. Okay, they're engaging in that while they receive all manner of financial write-offs and tax write-offs as maintaining churches, which are a means of incentivizing this surveillance system very maliciously throughout the states. Okay, that's relevant to the purpose of the state that wants to deceive the masses, watering down Scripture, not teaching Scripture altogether, falsely translating and falsely interpreting it so that you think that you can live in sin and you're still going to heaven, because that's what they're living and that's also what they're teaching expressly and impliedly. And this is why they're doing that, because they're not even believers. They just call themselves pastors. This is why I have pastors in these Christian churches that are poisoning me while I'm being gang stalked. I'm being targeted. They're monitoring my vagina and they call themselves pastors. Okay, so I was raised amongst this, and now I'm prosecuting it. And I have firsthand experience with it, and I'm also the one that is in the position to expose it and not just speak to it and tell you what I know and what happened. I can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. The pattern of conduct is ceaseless, and it is unchanged. In the venues that are calling themselves churches, they are. That you can call yourself whatever you want. I told you it's not about the title. It's relevant, though. You should know that you're being gang stalked. You're under surveillance in the hospital. You need to know that. You need to know that you don't have any privacy. You need to know when you go into a so-called church, you're being targeted. It's subject to surveillance. You don't have any privacy. HIPAA is an illusion. Okay? The entity is engaging in what is massive surveillance. Now, those whose information is published and whatnot, they do that to you if they don't like you. When you've made some sort of enemy, that's when you're witnessing, oh, man, this person was violated. Oh, you can sue for that. That's an illusion. You don't have any privacy. You don't have any privacy in the first place. All right, so I just want to make sure that that's clear. The Ontario Police Department targeting me at facilitating venue Free Baptist Church, where quote-unquote Pastor Ted Burnett engaged in poisoning me on March 25th, 2026, where I am experiencing what is a drowsiness, a heaviness, an overwhelming sense of wanting to go to sleep. My body is heavy, and it's exacerbated because the fake sun, as I documented, as I walk through the neighborhood from Free Baptist Church by Berlin and Princeton back to what is where I'm located now, where the fake sun's over me in the morning, and on March 25th you'll see the fake sun is over me here in the afternoon. And then when I walk back from the laundromat to the library, it's over me still on this same block. Okay, that's getting to the demons that are engaging in criminal surveillance. They're not just engaging in targeting state surveillance. This is the beast system. This is Satan's system. And they're demons. They're demon possessed. They are mentally ill. These are cold-blooded murderers. Okay? They're kidnappers. They target people. That's how they use the jail system. Okay? They set people up. They pick and choose who they're going to lock up and who they're going to hold accountable for crimes that they know are underway. That's what this beast system is. That's how the gang stalking police that are engaging in surveillance, not law enforcement. Okay, the two are mutually exclusive. They are distinct from one another. Okay, I do want to document this license plate 9CIK164, engaging in surveillance with the entity, stalking in the path. The police are flying right over my head. You're not free to be parking in this parking lot. This is what the entity is doing. This is that public corruption. This is that surveillance system, and the people of the state are subservient to that. And this is how you're able to, as you're going to prosecute that entity. Everybody, everywhere is subject to what is that documentation in order to prosecute them. All right. It is currently 9:24 a.m. This is P.O.C. regarding poisoning that I've been subject to by the people of the state throughout the city of Ontario and in Upland. P.O.C. (75097) George 2. This is P.O.C. The entity. This is psychopathic pacing and engineer light dragging across the wall, engaging in what is monitoring my devices. License 9L LK094. It's impossible light activity while they do that, and light is manifesting across the wall. These are the demon possessed that are gang stalking, and so is Emporia Place. And the city of Ontario, that's the government acting directly, stalking, flying over my head back and forth. These are demons. This is the entity that is conspiring your murder, that is stalking you in this absurdly and expensive manner. Paul Leon's being prosecuted, and he is going to be put in prison. He's going to lose. He already lost his case. You're looking at the prosecution of all the officials that I've already named beforehand over the years. They are indeed going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:07 a.m. My evidence has me subject to this pattern of conduct under this fake sun into the afternoon at this same location in 2022 before 2026. In other words, historically, Emporia Place is a facilitating venue. They are engaged in surveillance while the business is property management. It's engaging in the pattern of conduct. So are all of the residents. P.O.C. The entity is stalking on the roads and the highways. And pay attention. While they drive by 8C29695 and EH56P33, the sun's not moving, okay? When I get aboard Omnitrans, this fake sun is not going to be sitting over Emporia Place. Also, this is not over the Upland Public Library. It's 10:07 a.m. Those gang stalking parents, okay, that's an oxymoron. Those are sex offenders that are a threat to children. In the pattern of conduct in Upland, California, where the Upland Police Department are gang stalking as the Ontario Police Department are through the people of the state that engage in surveillance. The murder, targeting American citizens together. There's no sun over the Upland Public Library while those demons go to that venue to engage in surveillance. And how do you know that? Even if those vagina monitors that have toddlers have been doing so before I was attending the Upland Public Library, because the fake sun is following me to that venue. All of them are sex offenders, and they're engaging in that sex offense together with the city of Upland. That's also why that fake sun remains over the Upland Public Library, and why it's not over the Upland Public Library right now, and why the government is stalking while it's here. There is no airport. This is very obvious. And the entities engaged in what is maintaining public nuisances place. The entities flying over the OVITT Family Community Library, which is north of Holt Boulevard. There's no airport where you are hovering. You're still listening to plane activity. From the airport, you would have already been at a height and elevation. You're not going to see this plane. They're engaging in what is stalking, and they're doing so while damning evidence, including stalking by the plane is captured. This is Ontario Police, and the Ontario Police are mentally ill demons, and that's why Impossible Light is moving across the wall while they're molesting me. Those are sex offenders stalking by helicopter. Right? This is the ongoing stalking system. These demons are going to prison. All right? Remember in 2022 at approximately 9:35 a.m. at the car wash, Ontario Police, gang stalking, going to get one of those vehicles washed, and I approached that terrorist by uniform, and I got his name and badge. He's going to prison. Okay? That agency is still stalking, which the helicopter activity day and night shows. The entire department is being prosecuted by this evidence, and everyone that I documented, they're all on the record. They're all going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:09 a.m.
2 a.m. The entity's keeping the fake sun at the same time over me inside of the Ontario Village Shopping Center. And as the bus is turning from Vineyard onto, this is Airport Road.
Does anybody needs to go inside our airport?
This is audible activity he's monitoring. The fake sun is remaining as the bus is turning. Okay, so right now, as I started the video, and he turns onto off of HOLT onto Vineyard, the fake sun is merely going to this side, and then as he turns onto Airport Road, he's the fake sun moves back to this side, and it's every turn for the entirety of the bus route. He doesn't have to make an announcement asking that they request stops. That's what these buttons are for. He's monitoring under the fake sun, doing so with impunity in furtherance of murder. And this is the bus system. This is a RICO case, and it's also the ongoing surveillance system that the people of the state share in. At the same time, the fake sun is stationary over me at the Ontario Village Shopping Center where I just came from. And at 10:30, they're flying in circles over the top of my head, just like they were this morning, flying over the top of my head at that same location, which I documented at that same shopping center. The fake sun is moving while the bus is moving at the same speed over me where I'm located, the position that I'm on at the bus. It's not over the window at the back of the bus. It's not coming through the windshield. It's directly over me. And this is the Ontario International Airport. This is the venue where they're flying from the airport, Amazon Prime Air, that are stalking with commercial planes, flying over my head, flying over the town square, which I want to be clear is not in alignment even with the airport. They're taking off, which airports do, from the airport, from the terminals, and then they're engaging in what is hovering miles away, where they're stalking me at the Ontario Town Square, at the 10 freeway, where the entity is hovering off of Euclid Avenue at that 10 freeway entrance, while I'm in the city of Upland and Southwest Airlines, which maintains a terminal at the Ontario International Airport. While the fake sun is over me, it's targeting me, and every single airline is sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. Okay, the Ontario Police, as you see them and using vehicles, this is the entity that's engaging in surveillance, and the Ontario International Airport is going to be shut down. This is a national security threat. While they're engaging in the surveillance, which the airlines are engaging, the people of the state, in other words, are engaging in with the government that's maintaining the surveillance system in the city of Ontario. All right, the entities engaging in what is stalking, monitoring, and furtherance of murder. The airport, they're all engaging in, they're monitoring me while the fake sun's moving, and they're all in use of their devices. The entities maintaining light activity, including on this bus. And you're looking at the airport, the Ontario International Airport, under the corrupt and dangerous leadership of Alan D. WAPNER, engaging in what is that pattern of conduct regarding federal stalking. This is not over the Ontario Village Shopping Center at the same time. This is not over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library at the same time. This is not over the Upland Public Library at the same time, nor would it be at any of those aforesaid venues, nor would it be in this same position over the same bus route at the end of the day, which is what I've documented. Omnitrans gang stalking me on the roads and the highways, which is a threat to my life. Okay, the entity's engaged in this. This is the Ontario International Airport, however. This is where the entity is, the place of origin where the planes are supposedly taking off from and then hovering over the Ontario City Hall. They're flying what would be from the airport location to any location. When they are flying at G Street and Laurel, like I'm documenting the other night, this is miles diagonally across to get to the opposite side where the entity is engaging in what is stalking me throughout the city of Ontario using commercial planes. The entity is flying southwest, I believe, in order to get, and that's over 4 miles southwest, perpetually hovering to engage in that, the positioning, the conduct that I'm capturing by commercial planes, which are taking off from the airport, ostensibly engaging what is, people are going places, right? But these commercial airlines are hovering over me throughout the city. And they're doing so under a fake sun, which is not at the same time for Southwest Airlines to be stalking me under this fake sun that cannot be at more than one place like this. All right, meaning it's not over the library at the same time while Southwest Airlines and UPS and Amazon Prime Air, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, American Airlines are gang stalking me at those venues. And those, every single airline is going to be federally prosecuted. And the Ontario International Airport, the Ontario board, the executive team, they're being prosecuted. They are indeed terrorists. They're violent sex offenders. This is P.O.C. The fake sun is moving as the bus is moving. This is absurdly impossible. And I am documenting it because this is the beast system. Massive surveillance of a satanic nature. And these are demons that are monitoring you in this environment. All right, this is P.O.C. This is Omnitrans engaging. It's currently 10:37 a.m. You just witnessed I've documented this as a matter of history, so this is already on the record, capturing it again. The entity is maintaining this fake sun as going from Holt Boulevard, then the bus turned onto Vineyard, then it turned onto Airport Road, and the fake sun just went around the property of the airport, where the people of the state are engaging in surveillance at the airport. Charlie Xavier 80, Uncle 803. And they're doing so while they're stalking me. They know who you are, they know where you're at, they know what you're doing. And that's why that fake sun follows. 9 Victor, Yolanda Victor 996. This is P.O.C. The fake sun turns as the bus turns. Airport Drive. And it's along this window, going in the same street in the opposite direction now. That's not over the Ontario Village Shopping Center. This is where the Ontario Police Department are found to be demons who are engaging in surveillance, psychological torture, harassment. They're engaging in surveillance at the airport, and they're engaged in facilitating this violence by the people of the state as well. It is terrorism, domestic terrorism, it's gang violence, and it's in furtherance of murder. And this is the entity that stole my inheritance, defamed my character in doing so, and repeatedly kidnapped me to oppress me, to silence me, and also to aid in what is defaming my character in order to abuse laws that they don't have authority under, such as the Welfare and Institutions Code, when you are engaging in surveillance and then seeking to exercise authority under that law. Doing so necessarily violating my due process rights. All right, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:38 a.m. Typically turn down that road, and the fake sun typically turns down that road with bus, right? This is the same route, however we're taking an alternative route to the same destination, Fontana Metro League train station, and the fake sun is remaining in the direction that I am going on the bus, where I am under surveillance. The fake sun not turning on Jennifer, all right? The fake sun remaining on San Bernardino Avenue over me on the bus. This is what's going to be compared with the evidence, which I am, again, systematically capturing at Jennifer and San Bernardino Avenue as that fake sun turns as the bus turns. So there is no fake sun that's turning on Jennifer or any random street, while it is, the bus just happens to be going in that direction. The sun's going in all manner of direction. It just looks, no, this is the entity that is following, stalking with light, which is relevant to criminal monitoring, and the mentally ill. It is mentally ill behavior to stalk with light, and to stalk with light as a population. This is the entity that is indeed engaged in monitoring. 7 Sam Uncle Apple 925. All of these people, all of them are gang stalking. San Bernardino Avenue and Sierra turning. All right, this is P.O.C. As the bus takes a shortcut, so does the fake sun. And this is the entity that's engaged in what is gang stalking in the city of Fontana. P.O.C. It is currently 11:15 a.m.